Greetings and blessings to everyone all around the world. This is something that I want to show you all. Today is Thursday, August 22nd, 2019. The time being 7:57 p.m. I want to show you how diabolical these white supremacists and ignorant sellout blacks are in Mississippi County, Missouri, showing you they're connected with the Charleston R1 School District, they're connected with the police department, they're connected with Susanna Wesley, they're connected with these government programs that's being ran out of 700 Elm Street or Cy Williams Street here in Charleston, Missouri. They're connected with law enforcement, period. And show you something that happened to my daughter when she was 5 years old, what a white bus driver did. And I want to show you documents. These documentations is in the United States Department of Education in Washington, D.C., the United States Department of Justice. It's in the St. Louis FBI office. And it's spread it around to all of my family in case they try to burn my house down, to burn the documents down. They spread it all around. Listen to this real good. When a white bus driver did something to my daughter on February the 1st, 2012, February the 1st now, you got a school resource officer, Brenda Bedford. February the 1st, if you Google it back up, it's on a Wednesday. If a parent accused a bus driver, but it was a black parent accusing a white bus driver of doing something to their child, especially was inappropriate, endangered her, and it frightened her to the fact that she's still seeing a child psychologist today, 7 years later. Now, if the resource officer was really about the children's safety in the school and the school safety for the school period, this resource officer would have been contacting me before the 6th, which was Monday, the 6th of February. But I want to show you how they plotted, and you will see them using the word plan. We got to come up with a plan for this situation. Now, the bus driver was left alone with my daughter on the bus. I didn't even know, just about the whole school year, 2011 and 2012. I had signed a contract with the director of transportation, which is a black man. You see what I was, a black man, and in with the principal of the elementary school, which was a white woman. That my then 5-year-old daughter would ride on the same bus with my 6-year-old daughter. My 5-year-old daughter was in kindergarten. They got out at 2:40 in the contract said at 2:40 when my daughter got out of school, she would go to the office and sit there until the 1st through the 5th graders get out, and she would ride home on the bus with her sister because things had been happening to her. 2008, you see this here? This how small she was when the Charleston, Missouri Police Department came in my house without a warrant, without probable cause, didn't even write no type of police report, and gave my children to their crack and heroin addicted mother who had been out in the streets for 3 days and 3 nights. And 70 days later, when I got my daughter back, took her to St. Louis. Look at this here. Her arm was in this here. I still got it. But this what I want y'all to listen to, how these people is diabolical. They evil. Let me show you this here. This is from Brenda Bedford to Tony Watkins, who was the superintendent then, Daryl Hoppy, who was the assistant superintendent, and to Tammy Brox, who was the principal of the elementary school then, which is what everybody that I've mentioned so far is white, and Frank Ellis, who was the assistant principal. He was black. This is what she said on the 7th of February the 7th. Now, this happened to my daughter on the 1st. He picked up by the backpack broke. He took on the bus by herself. He didn't supposed to be on the bus by herself. She's supposed to have been in the office. It broke. When he picked up, he got a knife off somewhere off the bus and went behind it and cut the scrap. Brenda Beckford said my daughter wasn't afraid. If she wasn't afraid when she came home, she wouldn't have told me about it. Let me show you how these white supremacists, sellout, ignorant blacks plot. Dear gentlemen, this is Brenda Beckford. To all the people I just told y'all, I spoke with Brenda Ivey on February the 6th, 2012, in the presence of Mr. Ellis. You didn't supposed to get my daughter. On the 2nd of February, the very next day, me and Mr. Frank Ellis had a meeting with the bus driver. Frank Ellis said he didn't see nothing wrong. They didn't do no investigation, sent the bus driver straight back to the bus. And Frank Ellis, when I came to meet with him, he told me, well, I talked to Birdie already. What Frank Ellis talked to her, you wasn't afraid, was you? He didn't hurt you. And then Brenda Bedford go on that Monday and get out of the class when I'm not around and say, you wasn't scared. They knocking the elements of a crime out. Who wouldn't be? What child wouldn't be scared? But let me show you what they said. I spoke with Birdie on February the 6th, 2012 in the presence of Mr. Ellis. They didn't ask me nothing now. Birdie stated that her bus driver, which she called him Mr. Joy Rice, y'all, was helping her on the bus by the loop of her backpack. She didn't need no help, and it broke. I asked her, did she fall? And she said just to the ground on her feet. She said Mr. Joy only lifted her, and she showed me with her fingers about 2 inches off the ground. He shouldn't have been lifting that no way, and he shouldn't have been on the bus with her by herself. The school was negligent for sending her to the bus. Birdie stated that Mr. Joy was behind her. I asked if Birdie, did she fall? And Mr. Joy caught her, and she said no. Her feet hit the ground. I asked her, did she fall on him or Mr. Joy Rice? And she said no. Birdie said when she got on the bus, she was sitting down and Mr. Joy got behind her and cut the loop off of her with a knife off of her backpack. I asked her, was she scared? Ain't that something? She must have been scared. She came and told me of Mr. Joy, and she said no. I asked her, had Mr. Joy been mean to her? And she said, no, ma'am. Birdie was a very polite student. At this time, if you need anything further, please let me know. Brenda Bedford, resource officer. Now, here's another one. It's Tammy Brock now, the then principal, and it's to Daryl Hoppy, which was the assistant superintendent, Tony Watkins, who was the superintendent, and Brenda Beckford and Frank Ellis. Brenda Beckford, the resource officer, and Frank Ellis was the assistant principal. This was on the 7th. No matter of fact, we'll go to Brenda Beckford first, because let me see, it's on the 7th. Yeah, Brenda Beckford. This is Brenda Beckford first. She said, no, I will go to Miss Tammy Brock. I am sorry I did not contact you first in regards to Mr. Ivey. Contact about me. It should have been contact about the white bus driver, what he did to my child. Please let me know when you are back in the district today so we can figure out what will be our plan with this situation. What would be our plan? That's Tammy Brock. Here's Daryl Hoppy, the assistant superintendent. I believe that the law allows for special circumstances that has to be approved by the superintendent, Mr. Watkins. Wait till Mr. Watkins get back. No request should be honored. He will be back in the district sometime this afternoon. Ms. Brock can make a suggestion, but it must be approved by the superintendent. What they was talking about 20 years ago, Bobby Hearns, the chief of police, put a sex case on me. So they said they was letting me come to the school until this time when I made this complaint on the 1st of February. But listen to the rest of it. Okay. Let me see. Here's Brenda Bedford. Ladies and gentlemen, Please be advised, I was called to the police department about 3:45 p.m. This is on the 7th, y'all, but she was called on the 6th when I found out what she did. You know, stating that a parent was upset because a police officer spoke with his daughter without his consent at school. When I arrived, I spoke with Raymond Ivey. I advised him that I can speak with any juvenile as long as they are not being arrested without the juvenile officer being present. That's a lie. Unless she was saying that I did something to her. She said this white bus driver did something to her up under y'all's supervision. Mr. Ivey stated that he did not appreciate me speaking with Bertie, and I told him that I had to find out what was going on without anyone around. If that was the case, what you take her out of her room for on February the 6th, 5 days later, and took her to Frank Ellis' office? He was around, so y'all can plot. Mr. Ivey stated that he did, he did not appreciate speaking with Bertie, and I told him that I could find out what was going on without anyone around. He stated that she had already been questioned. She didn't need to be asked it anymore. Again, I told him that when I have been advised of something, I speak with the person to see what went on. Mr. Ivey stated that he did not want his children to ride on the bus because the driver had been giving them his daughter's items. He felt that was not right, inappropriate. Also, he stated that the child would be on the bus for 15 minutes with this bus driver before anyone else would come. She should have never been on there. I advised Mr. Ivey that he could be arrested for being on school property due to the fact that he is on the sexual registry list. And he stated that Miss Brock told him that he could bring and pick up his children as long as he stayed in his vehicle. He also stated that if he could not bring his children to school, he would homeschool them. Again, he said he doesn't want anyone talking to his children unless he is advised. Gentlemen and ladies, I have a big problem, and there is no answer to this. What do we do when he is on the school property, dropping and picking up his children? The law states he is not to be around any school, but again, he has children which attend school. By law, I have to uphold it, and if the school address this difficulty, please advise. Now, what I want to just show y'all something is, now she said she had to uphold the law. If she had to uphold the law, she didn't make a police report. She didn't let me make one. And at the same time, the superintendent asked her, was one of her his employees going to be arrested? And she said no. She said, I didn't question Mr. Joy Rice because she told the superintendent, you said Irvin Johnson, which was the director of the transportation for the Charleston R1 school district, would talk to with the Joy Rice. Now, if there was a black person and a white child, it would be a police report. But see, I kept my documents. That just go to show you how diabolical these people is. Peace be still.